The engine sputtered and almost died, and it would have been better for those on board if it had. Stopped at a red light, only several of the passengers noticed the driver go into a brief spasm, his legs beating a chaotic beat against the metal of the floor. Shaking his head, the bus driver came round and looked around him, fury now bubbling in his heart. The virus was taking him, stripping everything that kept him sane. Aban had come to Australia as a small child, fleeing the war-torn Lebanon with his family. This country accepted him, and he was forever grateful to his adopted country. Unlike some immigrants he was aware of, he loved Australia. At least he did until this moment. Now, there was only one love in his life, and that was killing as many people as he could. The urge completed him. Even though the light was still red, he pressed down on the accelerator and the bus surged forward to yelps of surprise from those on board. Aban couldn't get the shit-eating grin off his face, and he briefly looked back at the fresh meat he was carrying. A laugh escaped his lips. Clipping the car in front, he urged the bus forward into the crossroads, cars screeching to a halt as he intruded on their right-of-way. A car span and hit his bus side on, but Aban ignored it and carried on, veering into the opposite lane. He increased the speed, a motorcyclist leaping from his stationary bike to escape the oncoming juggernaut. The bike was churned up as the bus rode over it, two of the bus's tires popping from the trauma inflicted on them. Aban opened his side window and stuck his head out, screaming at the motorcyclist who was only just picking himself up off the floor. "You hurt my bus, you bastard!" Aban screamed. Turning back to the road, he began to plow through traffic, most of the cars ahead of him stationary, their electrics fried. Some of the car's occupants managed to get out of his way. Others found themselves buffeted as the vehicles they sat in were mashed to bits. This left huge dents in the front end of the bus, which Aban was less than pleased about. But still, it carried on moving, despite the damage. With the engine at the back, the power to drive what was now a huge battering ram remained relatively unaffected. Someone beat on the protective perspex of the driver's cabin, and Aban looked to see a terrified man telling him to stop the bus. "Please, sir, regulations state you can't stand in front of the yellow line." That was a very good regulation, Aban thought, and to prove his point, he slammed on the brakes, sending the person harassing him hurtling forwards. The passenger smashed his head on the windscreen, leaving a bloody smear on the window interior. "You realize I'm going to have to clean that up now, don't you?" Aban said, admonishing the now unconscious man who had come to rest on the floor. Putting his foot down, he continued his pilgrimage, plowing onto the pavement, a look of consternation etched onto his face. He hit two pedestrians full on, grinding them under the wheels of his bus. This was, without any doubt, the best day of his life.